And let's jump back over here to the left side of your screen now, looking at the Brady Bunch and all of these things here. Notice fictional reality, Hadron Collider disaster, Strange Sense X. Remember that there was that weird thing in the Beyonce is the Jesus fucking Christ video that I did? In it, there's a reference to her as Beyonce X, and look at this, the 3 6s, US Babylon, End of Days, The Word, Propaganda, Going Home, all of these things. Holy Sacred Force, see Day of Reckoning, that's something we'll be told to look at again today. But notice again the 888 coming in there, the Demonic Elite, Sublime New Era, all these concepts I've elaborated on immensely in the past for you. So now notice here, let's go back to the left side of your screen. The English and simple values are the same as Charles Dickens in the Boondocks. Again, who LaShawn Thomas was an animator for and did the tweet about Sade needed to be checked on the day that Prince died. Also having the same coding as Antichrist or the Antichrist. Notice as well here Charles Dickens, again everything I've talked about already in this video with him. You see reference now to John F. Kennedy, death penalty, serial killer, and the great beast. All of that, plain as day, couldn't be more clear. So now let's take a look at the next piece here. This is written by Jonathon Collier. Alright. Notice for his coding you see reference to I Am Your Master, Continental Drift Disasters, Children of the Devil, the Satanic Illuminatus, and the Key to the Gate of Babylon. His English and simple values are the same as the PEZ Theory. Let Him March Boys, Police Chief Wiggum, and Sunset Sound. Now, the two in the middle there you will understand as we get to the end of this video. Notice the Great Architect, the number 7. Again, just tying it in, that's the number of dates that Beyonce added to her tour, as well as everything else that I've told you with that number. Notice as well, Hiding the Truth, Order of the Rose, the Rosicrucians, which the rose absolutely having symbolism of secrecy and the secrets of everything of divinity, of that which is beyond the veil. You also see reference to Just Wait and See, Obama Executioner, and the Smoking Jacket. Now, in this episode, Lisa discovers that Jebediah was actually a crooked pirate whose name was Hans Sprungfield. And if you look this up, it is coded for pretending to be a hero. Remember, Jebediah is the founder of Springfield. It's like George Washington is hailed. Jebediah has that same exact thing. This is an allegorical story for all of this. For Jebediah's name, you see religious idols, Obama shot and reborn, as well as Bill and Hillary. And I'm going to show you how they're connected later on here. Notice his English and simple values. The simple is 44. Alright, and so again, remember that the original PEZ logo, it's 44 bricks. And think back to what PEZ logos are, and think to what the Simpsons opening intro is now, alright? It is Jimbo and Kearney, and I'm going to talk about this towards the end, but sawing the neck, right? What is a PEZ dispenser? It is a head on a stick, alright? And candy comes out of the throat. But they're opening up his neck, and notice here with Kennedy, but it falls then onto Ralph. And notice with this frame here with Kennedy grabbing his neck, and this is the one spot where I'll let you say that this is me really following intuition and really going with it. So notice here that 254 days, or 8 months and 10 days, that same number 254, right back here for this Kennedy bit. It's the same amount of time from when Trump said he could shoot somebody on 5th Avenue to the date of October 2nd, the finishing of Beyonce's tour. So that 254 in that 810 and everything we're talking about, know that 810 is absolutely the coding for Ralph Wiggum and the I Slay remix, the exceptionally popular remix of Beyonce's Formation song. East 83 is from the trailer for The Land with Erykah Badu, something I've talked about extensively, but take a look. Terrorism, Thelemic Order, Bohemian Grove, God of Baphomet, the Radiance of God. You also see these references to Wall Street and the stock exchange, obviously something to do with money, and all of this is to be expected. But do you see how that comes in there? That is just absolutely phenomenal. But so notice for 264, all right, it's the same value, the same simple value as I got hot sauce in my bag swag. All right, take a look at that. As well as 5 words he didn't even mean. And this ties back to the Austin Zamora story. But so notice here this 333. 26 symbols. It's our alphabet. 22 letters. Right? The Hebrew alphabet. The tarot cards. You see the 4th and the 11th internal revenue service. All of these things coming in connection with each other. Shadow government. All right, on and on and on. I want you to see for this 333 and the immense importance that it carries with it here, because one of the things I've talked so much about is Erykah Badu's Window Seat music video in which she's assassinated, and the remix in which she's reincarnated and goes on a killing spree with Rick Ross. This is the cover for the Window Seat single. Notice the Flight 333, as well as this hidden 333 right here, which was also the release date of her, I believe, New America Return of the Ankh album. Do remember I've talked extensively about 26F, 266, the same coding as Representative Pete Sessions, our Texas, who introduced the magic bill. You see this SS, do remember that, it will come up. Also, of course, its direct connections to Nazis, the 11P, P reducing down there, to the 7, so 11 times 7, giving us either that 77 again, all of our connections we've discussed. P is the 16th letter though, so if we just hail it out there is 11, 16, 111 times 6 is 666. Down below 6F is 66. Alright, all of this so thoroughly and elaborately coded, and so that's why I show you that 333 there, because it's a number I've talked about a lot, and I want to be sure to give it its proper emphasis in the fact that since it's on the cover for the single of Window Seat, it is also very important that when we look at 264, it is also the same Jewish value as Cootie Rock, who is the director for that video. I mean, that is just absolutely stunning to think about. Now, take a look back over here because you can get a glimpse at some of the important things that come up with this coding of 44s. Kill, magic, HAARP, alright, the immensely important institution that a lot of us are worried about. You also see Godhead. Now let's keep moving here though, because as I said, there are 66 points and we're on number 7. And all of this information here, it is just so incredibly important and deep, and just stay with me. So Jebediah Springfield, the founder, alright, look at all of these ways that his name can be broken down. The 99s that we get from it, the 11 that we get from it, the letters that you see here, this 88 that we can get from it, the sun card, all of these things. Notice the manifestation of Lucifer. And again, with all of the connections that I've been making between Jebediah and Washington and telling you that this is a complete allegorical thing, and all of these connections to this goat of Mendes and the enthroned Washington statue, the manifestation of Jebediah Springfield here, the manifestation of Lucifer, you see, conqueror of nations, the number of the Qliphoth, remember that is the inverse of the tree of life, the negative shells, the husks, what is alleged to drive people towards misery, destruction, murder, all of those things, suffering, evil plot, holy number 8, alright, I've talked a lot about, you see, he leads to destruction and we all die. Now notice the English and simple values are the same as Nissan Stadium. This is the venue that Beyonce is going to be playing in on the 2nd of October, that 10/2 date that I've been talking about already so much. You see, it's also the same as Mayor Eric Hogue. And so again, just to be sure, and just to really drive these connections home with David Copperfield and all of that, Mayor Eric Hogue, and he's going to come up a lot later with Obnoxio the Clown from the X-Men. It's gonna blow your mind. But that he's very good friends with David Copperfield. Alright, and that since 15 he was dressing as a clown. Right, 15, the devil card. And he's a part of the Dallas Magic Clubs, all of these things. But that he has that coding in common with Jebediah Springfield, with Nissan Stadium, with the Seventh Seal, with used and abused books, all these things we've talked about. Alright, so take a look here. Barack Hussein Obama, spelled out. Final Antichrist. Eyes wide shut. Rise to power. Barack Obama head wound, as well as Obama gets headshot. Wild, Wild West. Reference to 878. Remember, 878 is something that I've been talking about so incredibly much, because this is where Beyonce is going to be playing on 7/29. Alright, and you can see the numbers there for how it relates to her tour and the things that I've shown you connected with it. But so that is just incredibly important to get those connections in there and bear Wild Wild West in mind with everything that we talk about as we move forward here, because you're going to see how this all connects. Okay, so now the quote from from Jebediah is, "A noble spirit embiggens the smallest man." That's what's written on the statue that adorns Springfield there out in the lobby. It's back in this one over here. Alright. So do notice that it is 7 words. And again, everything we're talking about with the number 7. You can see it there written out for you some more, but reference to the synagogue of Satan, devil in disguise, all things are revealed, and war religion. Down below you have 49 gates of the Holy Spirit, 13 richest families in the world, the 44th President Barack Obama, and the propensity to commit violence. So let's start taking a look at some of the images from this actual episode here. This is how it starts, with a watch and learn feature. Alright, and so it's telling you the history of Jebediah Springfield. It's spoon feeding the history. This is what's playing in Bart's class. While it's playing, the teachers are in the back smoking, and they're using the made up words cromulent and embiggen that I referenced at the beginning of this here. But before we get to that, notice for a watch and learn feature, you see reference to the Illuminati religion is a solar phallic cult. Absolutely. You see flight of the Holy Dove, 9/11 hijacking, and a supremacist organization. Now, notice the key phrase is a watch and learn feature, 9/11 hijacking. And I think we're at a point where enough people have doubts about that to where you should see that the fact that a watch and learn feature coming up with 9/11 hijacking and flight of the Holy Dove is far too wild to let go, as well as the supremacist organizations, essentially what the 9/11 attacks were blamed on. Notice as well that the English and simple values here are the same as celebrity deathmatch. Here you see reference to the divine triangle, the word of the Aeon, U.S. President Obama, and Kennedy death curse. Alright, you also see Teflon President, which is important because Rick Ross, who goes on the killing spree with Erykah Badu in part 2 of the video, is referred to as a Teflon Don. Somebody who is said to be made of Teflon is somebody who can take intense criticism and not let it really affect them. More or less, U.S. President Obama absolutely embodies that idea. So notice how that is connected. The word cromulent is the same value as the brothers. This is the hidden name for the Lover's Tarot card, the card related to the idea of the great work. So do notice here you see reference to anagrams and gematria. Anagrams are rearranging letters and words to find hidden words in them, and gematria is the use of noting that each letter has numeric values and that words and phrases, when looked at in terms of their sums, can be said to have deeply interwoven connections, and that is the basis for this system that I am showing you here, alright? So you see reference as well to UN of Satan, FEMA preparations, dishonest NASA, cult leaders, saboteur, spirit of lies, as well as illumination, the dual tree, and illusions. Now, again, as stated in the beginning of this video, the English and simple values for this are the same as the Athenium, John Edwards, Antichrist, Erica Wright, Tortoise, Let It Burn, and Live the Hype. Also the same as Don Trump, Blood Sacrifice, The Great Seal, Seven Seals, Top Secret, and Divine Star. So keep going down below here. Let's take a look back through some of these clips here so I don't leave anything out, because a good portion of this I do want to just show you images from this. And so do notice here, after the Watch and Learn feature concludes, it ends with the phrase "the end" over the American flag. Now this is very important in connection with everything that I'm saying that this is symbolic of. In this episode, you see here that the Simpsons are ceaselessly clever with their hits at how people just let everything happen. Parade to distract joyless citizenry. It's absolutely where they use our ego and our pleasure to keep us docile. It's a plain fact, and I know everybody wants to be contentious and argue tooth and nail over it, but it's very true. It's very, very, very true. And so, take a look here at the Springfield Historical Society, where the dead come alive, metaphorically. Remember, the baseline for this episode is comparing to the exhumation of former President Zachary Taylor's body. And they're going to exhume Jebediah Springfield's body in trying to dispel a conspiracy about that individual. So now, let's jump back here with that clarified a bit. And notice Springfield Historical Society has the same Jewish value as Charles John Hoffman Dickens. That's Charles Dickens' full name. You see the CIA is a satanic organization. Chief Angel of Worship, Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, founded in 1966, 50 years ago. 50-year anniversary of the Super Bowl is this year as well. But do notice as well, you see reference to CERN Goes Wrong, Sudden Alien Invasion, and Two Ducks. And so I highly advise you to still watch my Legends of Light video discussing the the presidential dinner, which Steve Bridges appeared next to George Bush as an impersonator. They're talking about the hustling ducks, the two ducks, alright? It's very important. Every time I try to show you clips of that or include it in these videos, I do want you to see that I did intend on having it for you originally today, but every time, and for those of you even who saw my Beyonce video, it doesn't like me trying to show you that, alright? Because it's very important. It was on the 119th day of the year, with 246 days remaining, the inversion of the magic bill number. Remember, when you invert and add that magic bill number, you get 888, which is an incredibly important number, something I cannot overstate enough. Alright, so then notice as well here we have reference to July 8th, another date that's been popping up, that 7-8 number of cards in the tarot deck, so very important here. But down below, the English and simple values are the same as the internet was in its feelings. And so again, building immediately off of that 888 importance there, remember when we were looking into this, I pointed out that decoding Beyonce's Lemonade is a phrase in which every letter is, or excuse me, every word is 8 letters. And so if my computer will catch up for me here, let's see if we can pull that up for you. Alright, so there's that for you, because I do want you to see that it has that coding for the encrypted code, as well as 114. Hands that shed innocent blood, alright? All of these things we've been talking about. The deadly Cliff Oath, our number is 11. so on and so forth. Okay, immensely important. Lisa Respers France, the author of this article, does come up a lot, but in any case, you do see here the story highlights. It says the internet was in its feelings, which is something I looked into a while ago, alright? And so again, just notice everything you see here. Reference to Department of Homeland Security poisoning our food supplies. It's references to 3 days after a full moon, earthquakes, alright? Very important stuff. Very interesting, alright? So I'm breaking down this Springfield sign for you here line by line for a moment. Give me a sec. Now notice, for where the dead come alive, it's the same as Columbia University, which is what I was talking about back in my Family Guy video, and all of the connections. Let me see if I can pull it up for you here. With the Earth Institute there, the concepts of shock economics with the man who runs it, and so on and so forth, alright? So very important to go back and watch that video, but do notice the English and simples down here, Barack Hussein Obama Jr., as well as code 13.7, which when we pop that in here, you do see that it comes up as the same as Eye of Horus, as well as the Path of Death, Church of Satan, FEMA camps are real. You see up there murder music. One of the labels that I was looking into in reference to that, and a lot of other coding next to it. I do also want you to see it has the written out 1368, which does come up quite a bit here. You see it's the hidden values for Beyonce, Knowles, Carter. Immensely important, because with that you see United States of America, Martin Luther King Jr., as well as the key of the rituals, and FEMA concentration camps. And so remember, the Croc Weenie Fest is where Kiedis was supposed to be headlining the day that he had to be rushed to the emergency room for intestinal problems. And so go check that video out that I did. Again, I told you that date was going to be something to look at. You also had the whole incident with the Washington Monument being closed. So there's a ton there. Too much to go into now, but go watch those videos. So look here on the left again now. Push the envelope. Biblical occultists, Egyptian key of life next to underground caves. Remember everything with the Gothard Tunnel we've talked about, as well as the secret doctrine. Now take a look down here at metaphorically. So I want you to see the first thing that comes up is Freemasonry next to 888, that 888, again, immensely important, cannot be overstated, as well as another stalling tactic, deadly solar flare, second attack on U.S., Obama, one-eye beast, as well as Antichrist on an airplane. You see reference to the ancient serpent, which I have possibly as Typhoon, son of the Illuminati, and the meaning of number 8, again. Too much to go into because I'm only on point 13 here. I do want you to see that the English and simple values for metaphorically are the same as Samuel Hinckley. Now, do remember that Samuel Hinckley is who, let me see, I have it for you right back here. That Obama and Bush are 11th cousins through Samuel Hinckley. This is from a New York Times piece from Nicholas Kristof. Opinion pages on the ground. Charles Dickens' last words. All of the ways I've shown you him coded in here. Remember Missy Elliott, who's going against Beyonce in the Celebrity Deathmatch episode I talked about with that. You also see Austin Zamora. That was the crane operator who threatened to bring the stage down. Solvet coagula, dissolution, and coagulation, or dissolution, excuse me. Key alchemical phrase, it's on the Godamendi's arms, so on and so forth. Alright, now I want you to see entertainment and the phrase double 13 coming up here, and I want you to know that the PEZ theory absolutely seems to be inspired by a plane of thinking that is not something that can be gleaned on this level. Because notice for double 13, oh god, I just fucked it all up there. So go back to 13 for the metaphorically here. Alright, and so notice this, the double 13 coding. I want you to see, if we actually type in double 13, it's the same as Camptown Ladies. And you see the appearance of 11, child snuff film community, warning signs, 153 fish. Now, 153 is the same coding as in the right eye. This is from the Ricky Smiley bit. Alright, so notice that. It's going to come up again as well. And fish in the tarot breakdown of things is equivalent to the Path of None, which is absolutely the death card. And I want you to think about the idea of nuns in Catholicism and the fact that they chose that name knowing that the systems of the tarot were in place before. Alright, and that is the extent that they do absolutely go through. Alright, I want you to see I could even mirror that, and that's 11 cubed, which is absolutely a very big deal in all of this. Alright, and so you'll also notice that Camptown Ladies is the inverted 31, and then that 13, where I showed you metaphorically, right, the double, so on. It's impressive. I'm beside myself even presenting it to you half the time. It's so stunning to me. You see reference to tarot card reading, Tree of Life and Death, Evil President, the number 553, which is again the inversion of the length of the Gothard Base Tunnel. It's also the inversion of the coding for Lincoln Financial Field, which is where, as I've stated, Beyonce is going to be doing her show. And so there's all of that for you, so you can see all of those connections, the 666, the signs, the whole bit for you laid out there, right? And so 354 is the same as TMZ, which of course comes up with a lot of other things that we've talked about as well today, all right? So there's all of that for you. Now, let's keep moving here, because it was speculated that Jebediah's actual cause of death was due to syphilis. So if we take a look at syphilis here, you will notice that it is the same as desolate measure, cruel and inhumane, NASA announcement, the Prince of Darkness, and beast inspiration. Now the English and simple values for this are the same as Fifth Avenue. This is where Trump said he could shoot somebody and not lose voters. Soft ice cream, which is a lyric from Lana Del Rey's Salvatore song. And something that I've talked about extensively in the past in videos taken down. Remember that album came out on September 18th, 1-8-9, the double 9 that we got from that, and all of the immense importance associated with everything there. You see as well that it shares the same coding as Cascadia Rising, and the Cascadia Rising coding, remember the Jewish value for it is the same as Bullet. The title of that JFK album, or excuse me, the Misfits album in which JFK is being shot in the head. You see there again the reference to 13, the Killers, the end of America. Alright, reference to the phrase I know and the phrase Judith. And again, remember when I was looking into the band A Perfect Circle and telling you that their Mare de Nome album, which is now the 16-year anniversary of, was indeed a masterful keystone piece that they put out a long time ago to be in accordance with all of this. Alright, so now let's get back to this over here, and I'm going to talk more about the ice cream stuff later on here. And of course, do remember Cascadia Rising completed the day before the Erykah Badu and Ricky Smiley show, which I directly connected with Fifth Avenue for you earlier. Do as well see this 117, because this is also something that we saw in the original air date for this, alright? So it's important to see how it comes back again and again. But notice flesh and blood, as well as Catholic shame, wrath of God, as well as we come in peace, and the seal of God. So now let's jump back here to our Simpsons bit here so I can make sure to get everybody in here. And let's take a quick look at Hollis Hurlbutt here. And so now this is a role where if you're looking into the information here, you can see that they state very clearly that this was a part that they had written especially for Donald Sutherland, alright? And so it's important just to know that this was written for him and that Donald Sutherland played Agent X. Remember the importance of when we were talking about that earlier in the JFK movie. And so all of that is very critical here, okay? But do notice HH from Hollis's name, of course, the 88. But you see death for the Antichrist, as well as satanic sororities, people of the Illuminati, and the Spirit of Christ. Down below you have speed limit 7, which again is from Erykah Badu's The Land trailer, but do see it as reference to the mark of the beast. I am the Antichrist, the working Babylon, reference to Prince of Darkness, the Doomsday Device, the Rising of the Dead. Again, just thinking back to the actual logo for the Springfield Historical Society, saying where the dead come to life. You also see Eye in the Triangle, Great Deceiver Satan, the apple of my eye, and open the third eye. Alright, so now let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of the artifacts that Jebediah has, as Hollis is showing Lisa here. I want to show you this one backed up just a bit here, because down below you have a peace pipe or a paraphernalia pipe, another way to put it, something strongly connected with the occult because of ideas of dissociation from normal states of being. And what that has to do in such a dynamic way is something that you need to look into separately, okay? This is very critical to note, though, that there is this pipe down there. And we're going to look at the other things in here, but so what he's referencing to her is the fife. And so very important, though, because remember, if we're talking about Jebediah Springfield, when we were looking at his coding earlier in this video as being the manifestation of Lucifer, you see that he's showing her the music, first and foremost, the Pied Piper, so on. I can't fully make this out, but it looks like it says in an inverted manner, UN, as well as some sort of version of a 9/11, or something in Hebrew. But it absolutely is connected in some way. But amongst the other artifacts that he shows her is his hatchet. And again, thinking back to The Shining, all of the connections that I had discussed with that, the fact that that was the last video that I put out on my original channel before they arbitrarily suspended my channel and took it all away. And the other piece that he shows her is his what he refers to as bedpan, but what is clearly a cauldron, clearly a black cauldron. And it's especially potent with all of these connections to occultism, Luciferianism, Wiccans, the whole nine. Alright, that he has a black cauldron, a hatchet, a pipe, a fife, all of that. Notice behind Lisa in this same scene, you see this very clear Masonic compass over here. The scales of law clearly leaning on this side. And so all of that absolutely critical to bear in mind here. Now, in the episode, when Hollis leaves the room to get his Johnny cakes, Lisa grabs the fife, and when she blows on it, she sees hidden inside the hidden confession of Jebediah Springfield. And so one of the big pieces of this is that it is written on a piece of the Athenium that was being worked on by Stewart, and I'm going to get into all of that. But so she goes into this flashback where Jebediah is writing the letter. So notice on where he appears, he always has these two X's on him, the 24th letter. Alright, remember, 2 and 4 is obviously 6, so 6, 6. The double 6 is something I've talked about emphatically throughout this video. So it should be clear to you how important that is, that he has that. So notice in here, he's claiming, he's not claiming, he's revealing the truth in that he's lying to everybody, and that they're a bunch of idiots, and that he's a pirate, and that he's there only to deceive them. And he's drinking from a skull while he's writing this letter, alright? And so after she reads it and Hollis comes back and he's asking her what was going on, she obviously hides it, and it cuts back to this scene. But check this out, because this is, right, the case they were just looking in with his possessions. But why is there a modern day gun? Alright? Why is there a modern day gun? And why is there modern day currency? Very, very wild to think about. Alright, it's very, very stunning, alright? And so Lisa says that she didn't find anything, and places it back in the fife, and then she goes and starts doing her research. And so, I don't have the clip for you here, or the image, but it's a reference here to a Kennedy bit the Lee Harvey Oswald stuff with the side-by-side comparison, and I'll show you the Wanted for Treason poster and how that's the direct reference here. But the point here is 107, because that's the number of the plate for the prosthetic tongue that Jebediah Springfield has. And so this is the biggest secret and really the smoking gun that Lisa comes across for Jebediah. This is her finding the idea that if she can prove the existence of this silver tongue, then she can prove to everybody that everything before them is based on lies. Alright, now this is a keystone concept here. So notice when we start breaking this down, plate 107, you see hidden existence outside of reality. The Large Hadron Collider is a weapon. Wait until September. Remember, that will be the 245th day. It will be a Thursday, and there's something I've talked about quite a bit in the past. You see reference to the Master, the Man of God, the Great Initiate, the Anointed One. That's all one phrase. You see Star of Satan, 666. In the phrase, I am better at Gematria than the devils. Now down below you see the English and simple values are the same as the mysterious T, and that is the episode of Celebrity Deathmatch in which Missy Elliott goes against Beyonce Knowles. It's the same as I choose you, which is the Valentine's Day card that Lisa gives to Ralph in the episode where he plays George Washington, and that's what I'll be talking about towards the end of the video. It's also the same as 1781, which you'll see here in just a moment, and the Queen of Neo-Soul, which is a reference towards Erykah Badu yet again. So do notice here you have reference to Master Mason's War, Declaration of Independence, and Ordo Summum Bonum, which is good order. Notice for plate 107, you have to pay the devil, the ancient word of God, the mighty Zeus, FBI is spying on you, and show me a sign, Satan. So the English and simple values then down below is the same as Missy Elliott / Beyonce, which is how their battle appears when it is listed in the episode, the mysterious T. You'll also note that it's the same as inspired by Matt and Kim and the Liberator of the Mind. And so this is definitely another important break for images to show you here, because remember that the window seat music video starts with the phrase inspired by Matt and Kim, and I've shown you extensively the Matt and Kim connections in all of that. And you know what, unfortunately it doesn't look like I have the Liberator of the Mind, the Queen of Swords tarot card up here, but look it up because it is a woman holding the head of a man decapitated. Alright, tying it even further back into this PEZ theory. So you see then here, Illuminati bloodlines, Antichrist calculator, truth behind the scenes, reveal the hidden truth, sealed with 7 seals, 17 times 6, which gives us the number 102, which you could absolutely look at as 10-2, as in October 2nd, date that I've been talking about a lot. But so notice here the silver tongue, like I said, is what Lisa is trying to prove the existence of in order to show that Jebediah is a fraud. And when she finds it, this is at the end of the episode, and notice here this wild, wild west setting that it's in. I want you to see the cowboy. I want you to see this cowboy get up. I want you to see the background with George Washington above this cauldron here, just like the other one that belonged to Jebediah. And that wild, wild west, right? When we jump back to where it came up today already with Jebediah Springfield, right? And all of this stuff for Obama gets headshot. Obama rise to power. Obama head wound. 878, which is Commerce Bank Arena, right? All of that where Beyonce is going to be playing on 7/29. It's stunning. It's stunning. So notice for the silver tongue, Martin Luther King Jr., characteristics of a psychopath. The New Atlantis, reference to November 6th, which is a 66 reference. Notice the English and simple values are the same as the Misfits Bullet in Hollywood Babylon. It's actually a song that is also off of that EP. Again, reference to Martin Luther King, the G of Freemasonry. Remember, that is the 7th letter. All of the connections there. God of the Aquarius Age, subliminal messages, apocalyptic desires, and the blind leading the blind, which is all too often what we have to deal with. So now, with that, when you keep moving here, so Lisa